Have you ever paused and truly asked yourself, whose life am I really living? Not in passing, not rhetorically, but with a brutal, soul-splitting honesty. Because somewhere along the way, you stopped living your life and you started playing a role, following a script, checking boxes written by hands that weren't yours. You wake up, you work, you smile, you meet expectations, you nod politely, you fit in, you strive, you survive. But deep down, in the still, unseen parts of you, there's a whisper, a quiet discomfort, a question you keep avoiding. What if this isn't me? What if everything you've built, everything you chase, everything you're praised for, is just a carefully crafted performance? What if you are trapped in a life that isn't yours? This video is not about comfort. It is about confrontation. It is about truth. And it is about liberation. Because until you recognize how deeply society has shaped your identity, you'll keep mistaking the mask for the mirror. Let's begin. From the moment we are born, the world begins to mold us. Parents, teachers, media, culture, each with their unspoken expectations, each carving a piece of us to fit their version of what we should be. You learned quickly what gets praised, what gets punished. You adapted. You smiled when you didn't feel joy. You stayed quiet when you had questions. You fit in because standing out was dangerous. And slowly, piece by piece, the authentic self was covered by what Carl Jung called the persona, the mask, the acceptable face we present to the world. It's not fake, it's not a lie, it's survival. But over time, the persona becomes so convincing, so rehearsed, so praised, that you begin to confuse it with who you really are. You say, I'm a hard worker, but what you mean is, I'm terrified of being seen as lazy or unworthy. You say, I'm always there for others, but what you mean is, I don't know how to set boundaries without guilt. You say, I'm fine, when in truth, you haven't felt whole in years. The mask has become so familiar, so safe, so deeply interwoven with your identity, that you forget it's a mask. And worse, society rewards it. It loves the well-behaved version of you, the agreeable you, the productive you, the image that doesn't disturb the system. But here's the price. The more you wear the mask, the more the real you fades. Your creativity dulls, your voice trembles, your desires are buried. You become a curated version of a life, a walking resume, a highlight reel, a social mirror. The tragedy isn't that we wear masks, it's that we forget we're wearing them. And the longer we live like this, the harder it becomes to tell where the mask ends and the self begins. But make no mistake, you were not born to perform. You were born to be, fully, fiercely, freely, and to reclaim that. First, you must see the mask for what it is. Not you, not truth, just a mask. Behind every mask, there is a shadow. Carl Jung called it the shadow self, the parts of us that we repress, deny, or disown. Not because they're evil, but because at some point, we were told they were unacceptable. You were angry. That made you difficult. You were sensitive. That made you weak. You wanted attention. That made you selfish. You questioned the rules. That made you dangerous. So what did you do? You buried it. You locked it away. You told yourself, I'll be good. I'll be quiet. I'll be what they want. But here's the truth. Whatever you repress doesn't disappear. It festers. It waits. The shadow lives in the corner of your being, in your frustration, your shame, your secret longings. It appears in moments of jealousy, rage, sadness you can't explain. It leaks out through sarcasm, numbness, procrastination, self-sabotage. Not because it wants to hurt you, but because it wants to be seen. The shadow is not your enemy. It's your wounded power, your unlived life, your silence truth. And unless you turn to face it, you will remain half of who you are. This is why many people feel empty even when their life looks successful. They've spent so long cutting off pieces of themselves just to be accepted. But wholeness requires integration, not perfection. To live a life that's truly yours, you must reclaim what you've rejected. The pain, the fire, the rawness, the voice that said no when everyone demanded yes. Start by asking, what parts of me do I hide from others? What traits in other people trigger me because they reflect something I disowned in myself? Don't run from those answers. Walk toward them. Because in your shadow is your gold. And only when you embrace your darkness can you step fully into your light. Before you could even speak for yourself, society had already written your lines. It handed you a script, a story of how to live, what to want, who to be, a script built on control disguised as order, on obedience dressed up as virtue. It told you, study hard, get a job, climb the ladder, buy the house, get married, have kids, retire, die, and in between, smile, be normal, don't ask too many questions, don't feel too deeply, don't stand out too much. At first it seems harmless, even helpful. Everyone around you is following the same outline. You confuse repetition with truth. You chase the same things they chase: status, approval, stability, validation. But the longer you follow the script, the more something starts to ache. Because the script was never written for you. It was written to maintain a system, one that rewards conformity, not authenticity, efficiency, not depth, appearance, not truth. It's a script that needs you to fit in, even if that means cutting yourself down to do it. And here's the cruel irony. The more successfully you follow the script, the more miserable you may become. Because success, when it's not aligned with your truth, becomes a golden prison. You get what you thought you wanted and feel nothing. You've checked the boxes but lost the voice. This is not failure. This is awakening, because you start to see this script is optional. It's not sacred. It's not yours. It's just old, inherited, and enforced by fear. The moment you question it, really question it, you begin to take your first breath as a sovereign human being. Ask yourself, whose dreams am I chasing? Whose approval do I fear losing? What rules am I obeying without even knowing why? Tear the pages, burn the script. You're not here to repeat someone else's story. You're here to write your own. There comes a moment, quiet, sudden, or violently loud, when the weight of the false life becomes too much. Sometimes it's triggered by collapse, a breakup, a job loss, a betrayal, burnout. Other times it's more subtle, a morning where you can't get out of bed, a conversation that leaves you hollow, a smile that feels like a lie. You look at your life and feel nothing, no passion, no presence, just an unbearable numbness. This is not depression, it's not weakness, it's the soul's rebellion, a sacred revolt from within, a silent scream from the part of you that has been buried alive under years of pretending. This moment, the breaking point, is terrifying because it exposes everything you've built as possibly untrue. It forces you to face questions most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Who am I without this job, this relationship, this persona? If I stopped performing, would there be anything left of me? But within that fear lies your gateway to freedom, because this pain isn't punishment, it's invitation. The life you've outgrown is cracking, the mask is slipping, and for the first time, you catch a glimpse of what's underneath. Maybe you cry, maybe you rage, maybe you go silent. That's okay. Let it come. Let the mask break. Let the roles fall. Let the story dissolve. Because what follows is not death, it's rebirth. But only if you dare to walk through the fire of unknowing, only if you stop running from the pain and sit with it, listen to it, let it burn through the lies. You are not breaking down, you are breaking open, and that is the beginning of the real you. Once the noise cracks and the mask begins to fall, a strange silence enters. For many it's unsettling, for others it's terrifying. But this silence is sacred. We live in a world addicted to distraction, constant stimulation, endless scrolling, chatter, input, noise. Because as long as you're consuming the world, you don't have to face yourself. But when everything collapses and the false life loses its grip, what remains is this silence. And in it, your true self waits. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It whispers. And the only way to hear it is to become still. Not the stillness of apathy, the stillness of presence, of attention, of stepping back from the world's agenda and listening to the deeper pulse inside you. You won't find yourself in someone else's words. You won't find it in achievements, validation, or noise. You find it in that moment when you close your eyes and ask, who am I when no one is watching? What do I know deep in my bones that I've never said aloud? This is where healing begins. Not with answers, but with space. Sit in the discomfort. Let it stretch. Let the questions breathe. Let your pain speak. There's a voice inside you that's never had room to speak before. It's quiet, yes, but it's also ancient, honest, untamed, and it's been waiting for you to come home. You don't need a guru. You don't need a new identity. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And to remember, you must first get still enough to hear the memory rising. Stillness brings clarity, and with clarity comes truth. But truth, real truth, the kind that shifts your existence, is not polite. It's not convenient. It doesn't fit neatly into your social image or the expectations of others. Truth is wild. It's often painful, and it demands courage. Because once you see your truth, you can't unsee it. You realize you're not happy in the career you built. You're not in love in the relationship you maintain. You don't believe in the system you serve. You want more depth, more meaning, more reality. And the moment you name these truths, the world you built on silence begins to shake. You will be tempted to run, to minimize, to rationalize. You'll say, it's not that bad. You'll say, other people have it worse. You'll say, maybe I'm just overthinking. But these are the voices of your conditioning, trained to protect the persona, not the soul. Your job is not to be convincing. Your job is to be honest. Say what you really feel. Name what you truly want. Speak the pain. Speak the longing. Speak the desire that makes you feel exposed. This isn't about performing authenticity. This is about returning to it, even if your voice trembles, even if it costs you relationships, roles, reputations, because truth liberates. Even when it wrecks things, even when it burns, even when it isolates, you are never more alive than when you speak a truth that's been buried in your chest for years. This is the turning point where your life stops being a reaction to the world and starts becoming a reflection of who you really are. So speak, not to be understood, but to understand yourself. Once you've named your truth, a new challenge emerges. Will you live by it? The world will test you. It will offer escape routes, distractions, applause, false certainty. It will beg you to put the mask back on, to shrink, to apologize for the audacity of becoming yourself. But now, something has shifted. You've heard your inner voice. You've touched your truth. And now, you are faced with a choice that most avoid their entire lives. Do I reclaim my life, or do I go back to sleep? This is where inner authority begins. Not dominance, not arrogance, but the quiet, unshakable knowing that your life belongs to you, that no title, no institution, no tradition has more claim over your soul than you do. Building inner authority means trusting your intuition even when logic disagrees, saying no when everything around you demands a yes, letting go of roles that once defined you, even if it terrifies those who depended on them. Creating your own values rather than inheriting society's blueprint. It means stepping out of the system of approval and into the solitude of sovereignty. And here's the paradox. The more you trust yourself, the more resistance you'll face from others, from your own habits, from the structures around you. But each time you act in alignment with your truth, no matter how small, you reclaim lost power. You remember, I do not need to be saved. I need to be self-led, because the highest authority in your life should not be your culture, your family, your peers, or even your past. It should be you, the real you, the one you are just beginning to become. When you stop living the life others expect from you, you don't just shed roles, you recover energy, a raw, primal force that had been trapped under years of suppression, performance, and self-editing. That energy is your creativity, not just artistic expression, though it can take that form, but a deeper creativity, the power to shape your own reality. You are not here to fit into a mold. You are here to build, destroy, reimagine, redefine. You are a creator, not a passive observer of life, but an active participant in its recreation. But creativity cannot flow when you are living a lie. It cannot breathe through masks. It suffocates under fear. It dies in obedience. When you reclaim your truth, your mind clears, your hands itch, your voice stirs, and you begin to ask dangerous, liberating questions. What do I want to build? What does a life designed by me, for me, look like? What if my pain, my past, my longing could become the foundation of something beautiful? Creativity is not just about making things. It's about making yourself. You are the art. You are the sculptor. You are the blank canvas. And every time you speak truth, take a risk, or follow your intuition, you leave the path of imitation and step into creation. Write your own narrative. Paint your own values. Invent a life that reflects the texture of your soul, not the blueprint of your upbringing. You don't need permission to begin. You just need to remember, you are not a product of society. You are a force of nature, and your creativity is the most sacred proof that you were never meant to just exist. You were meant to make something real. So now you've seen behind the mask. You've faced the shadow. You've questioned the script, broken through the silence, spoken your truth, stood in your own authority, and felt the creative fire reignite within you. But what now? What does it actually mean to live as your true self? It means grace, not the passive, polite grace society rewards, but a deeper, wilder grace. The grace of being unapologetically yourself in a world that demands conformity. Living your own grace is not about perfection. It's about integrity, the alignment between what you feel, what you believe, and what you do. It means waking up each day and choosing to live your truth, even when it's inconvenient, even when it costs you comfort, even when no one claps. It means owning your flaws without shame, standing in your contradictions without apology, loving yourself, not because you're always right, but because you're always real. It means recognizing that your authenticity is not just for you. It's an act of rebellion, a light, a permission slip for others to drop their masks too. Because when you live your truth, when you embody your inner authority, when you stop pretending and start being, people feel it. They may resist it, they may fear it, but they will never forget it. Living your own grace is choosing presence over performance, depth over decoration, power over approval, and most of all, it is choosing yourself again and again, even when the world tries to make you forget. Not because you owe the world your authenticity, but because you deserve to live in a life that is yours, fully, fiercely, freely. And once you taste that grace, you'll never go back. So now you know. You were never broken. You were buried, under masks, under expectations. under a script written by voices that never asked who you are. But now, the silence has spoken. The truth has surfaced. The fire has returned. And with it comes responsibility. Because now you've seen the trap. You've named the lie. You've felt the aching pull of the life that was never truly yours. The question is no longer what's wrong with the world. It's what am I still tolerating that keeps me small? You can't unknow what you know. You can't unsee what's been revealed. You can't go back to the comfort of the cage and pretend it was freedom. So you have a choice. You can keep performing, keep nodding, keep pleasing, keep killing yourself slowly for acceptance that was never worth it. Or you can rise, not loudly, not dramatically, but irrevocably. You can burn the script. You can stop apologizing. You can break the cycle. And you can begin, today, right now, to live a life that is unmistakably yours. You may lose comfort. You may lose approval. You may even lose parts of the old world you once belonged to. But what you gain is everything. Because there is no power greater than a human being who remembers who they are and lives from it, fully, relentlessly, dangerously alive. Let them stare. Let them question. Let them fear the change they see in you. Because the greatest revenge against a society that tried to tame you is to become untamed. Not in anger, not in hate, but in truth. This is your life. Take it back.